All right, let's dive into something we all use every single day. Something that's totally reshaped our world, the internet. I mean, it's so baked into our lives, you almost forget it had to be invented, right? But it was. It was built, piece by piece, over decades of some seriously brilliant problem solving. So let's kind of pull back the curtain and see how this whole thing actually came to be.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And here's the thing. It wasn't some single eureka moment in a lab. Nope. It was this incredible series of breakthroughs with each new idea building on the one that came before it. We're going to trace that story layer by layer to really understand how this global network was born.
And you might be surprised where this story starts. It's not in a Silicon Valley garage. We've actually got to go back to the Cold War, a time of really high tension. The first spark, the initial idea for the internet, was actually a military one. It came from a very real fear and the need for a communication system that could survive an absolute catastrophe.
Okay, so what was the big deal? Well, you're looking at it right here. Back in the 1960s, the US government's communication network was centralized. Think about that for a second. That means one successful attack on a single central hub, and boom, the whole thing goes dark. It was a massive, massive vulnerability.
So what do? Well, the folks at the Defense Department's Advanced Research Projects Agency, you'll hear them called ARPA, they came up with this absolutely brilliant idea, a decentralized network. It's like if there's no single brain to take out, the body can keep functioning. You could knock out a piece of it, and the messages would just find another way around. Genius, right?
And this wasn't just some theory on a whiteboard. Nope. This idea became the actual blueprint for a project they called ARPANET. And ARPANET? Well, that was basically version 1.0 of the internet. This is where the idea gets real.
And check out how fast this all came together. The idea really takes hold in the 60s, and by 1969, ARPANET is a real, live thing. I mean, just try to imagine that. It's late 1969, and for the very first time, computers at 4 different universities can actually talk to each other. Researchers could suddenly share their work without being in the same room. This was a complete game changer.
But ideas are one thing, right? You need people to actually build this stuff. You had Leonard Kleinrock, whose work on something called packet switching was absolutely crucial. It's basically how you chop up data so it can travel efficiently. Then there was Robert Taylor, the manager at ARPA, who really pushed for this thing and got the money for it, and Larry Roberts, the lead engineer who actually designed the system. These guys, they were the original architects.
So ARPANET is a massive success, but you know how it goes. Solving one problem often creates a new one. All these other computer networks started popping up, but they all spoke their own unique digital language. It was like having a bunch of people in a room who all speak different languages. Total chaos. You had these digital islands. So what was the solution? They needed a universal translator, a common language that every network could understand. And that's where Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn come in. They're the heroes of this part of the story. They developed this set of rules, a protocol, that basically told every network, hey, it doesn't matter what you speak at home, but when you're out here, you speak this language. And this right here just shows you how huge that was. Before this new protocol, which we call TCP/IP, you had all these little walled gardens, these isolated networks that couldn't talk to each other. But after TCP/IP, bam, you have a true network of networks. That is the very definition of the internet. It's the key that unlocked everything.
Okay, so you're going to want to remember this date, January 1st, 1983. That's the day ARPANET officially flipped the switch and started using TCP/IP. A lot of people say that was the real birthday of the internet as we know it today. It's the day all those separate islands were finally connected by one big bridge.
All right, so we've got a global network. Awesome. But there's still one big problem. Actually using it was, well, a nightmare unless you were a super specialized researcher. You had to know all these complex commands. It was powerful, for sure, but definitely not user-friendly for, regular people.
And this is where a guy named Tim Berners-Lee enters the picture. He's working at the research center CERN, and he sees this incredible network, but he also sees that it's basically a fortress. So he asks this really simple but world-changing question, how do we make this easy? How do we build a front door so anyone can just walk in and look around?
And his answer came in 3 parts. It was this perfect little toolkit for the people. First, HTML. That's just a simple way to create the actual web pages. Then HTTP. Think of that as the postal service that goes and gets the pages for you. And then the real magic ingredient, the web browser, a visual window you could just point and click with. This was the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this quote just says it all. The World Wide Web, which, by the way, is built on top of the internet, they're not the same thing, that's what transformed this whole thing. It stopped being a network just for machines and became a platform for all of us. It completely democratized information.
So you see how it all stacks up? You've got the resilient network from the Cold War, the universal language of TCP/IP, and then this easy-to-use interface, the web. Those layers created, well, our modern world. So let's just take a quick look at the impact, the good and the, well, not so good.
I mean, the impact has been absolutely staggering, right? This isn't just about sending emails or looking at funny videos. Entire global economies are built on this thing now. It's the biggest library in history, it's a global marketplace, and it's our new town square, all rolled into one.
But let's be real. It hasn't all been perfect. We are now facing some really tough challenges because of it. Things like privacy and security are a constant battle. We're drowning in misinformation. And there's the digital divide. The fact that not everyone has equal access, which creates a whole new kind of inequality.
So when you step back and look at the whole journey, it's just incredible. To think that something that started as a military project to survive a nuclear attack eventually evolved into this global platform for connection and creativity. It's just an amazing story of human collaboration and vision.
And that kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Those original architects, they did their job. They built something to connect machines. Our challenge, the challenge for our generation, is so much bigger. So what are we going to build? What comes next to truly connect humanity? That's the question we get to answer.